The rain poured down in heavy sheets that night, blurring the streetlights into streaks of gold and white. Tires screeched, metal bent, and a cry pierced the darkness. In the middle of the empty road lay a young pregnant woman, her trembling hands wrapped around her belly, her face pale with terror. Standing over her, frozen and pale himself, was Ethan Blackwell, the arrogant son of one of the wealthiest millionaires in the city. Just minutes earlier, he had been laughing, racing his luxury sports car down the slick streets, convinced that the world belonged to him. But now, staring at the broken figure on the ground, he realized that all the money, all the power, meant nothing when faced with the weight of what he had just done. Before we go further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of redemption, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Kindness Corner, and share it with someone who needs hope today. Your support helps us bring more real, heart-touching stories to the world. Ethan had always been reckless. Growing up with everything handed to him, private schools, expensive vacations, cars before he was old enough to drive, had left him hollow, arrogant, and convinced he was untouchable. His father, Richard Blackwell, was a ruthless businessman who believed money could buy silence, loyalty, and even morality. Ethan absorbed that same mindset. Life was a game, people were pawns, and he was untouchable. That night, he sped through the streets, ignoring the rules of the road, until fate forced him to a stop. The woman he hit, her name was Sarah, wasn't just another stranger. She was someone's wife, someone's daughter, and most importantly, she was carrying an innocent life within her. Sarah lay unconscious in the hospital, her fragile body fighting to protect the child inside her. Doctors whispered in urgent tones, machines beeped in steady rhythm, and her husband, Daniel, stood by her side, his hands trembling yet strong. Daniel wasn't wealthy. He didn't wear designer suits or drive expensive cars. He was a firefighter, a man who spent his days risking his life for others, rushing into burning buildings when others ran out. He was respected by the community for his bravery, but he lived simply, with love as his true wealth. To him, Sarah wasn't just his wife. She was his world. And the child she carried was the dream he had held onto through years of sacrifice. When Ethan's father learned of the accident, he did what he always did, pulled out his checkbook. Richard arrived at the hospital with his lawyers, ready to silence the incident with money. But Daniel looked him straight in the eye, his voice steady with pain and conviction. "You think this is about money? My wife is fighting for her life. My child may never be born. No amount of your millions can pay for what your son has taken from us." The words cut through the cold walls of Richard's arrogance, but not enough to make him stop. He still believed everything could be bought. Ethan, however, wasn't so sure anymore. For the first time in his life, he felt fear, not the fear of losing money or reputation, but the fear of facing the weight of another human's suffering. He watched as Daniel held Sarah's hand, whispering promises of protection, love, and survival. Ethan had never seen that kind of strength, that kind of devotion. It wasn't built on power or wealth but on love, something Ethan realized he had never truly known. The days that followed were filled with suspense and heartache. Sarah slipped in and out of consciousness, sometimes crying softly for Daniel, sometimes gasping in pain as doctors worked to stabilize her. Daniel never left her side. He slept in a chair, skipped meals, and prayed with every fiber of his being for the safety of his family. Ethan, racked with guilt, began visiting the hospital too, standing outside the room, unable to look Daniel in the eye. He wanted to say something, anything, but words failed him. How could he apologize for something so unforgivable? But fate has a way of forcing truth into the light. One evening, a fire broke out in the hospital's west wing. Panic spread through the hallways as smoke filled the air. Patients screamed, nurses rushed to evacuate, and the smell of burning plastic and wood choked everyone's lungs. Ethan froze in fear, his heart pounding. But Daniel, though exhausted, though broken by worry, leapt into action. Without hesitation, he carried patients, guided the weak, and even went back into the smoke-filled rooms to save strangers. And in that moment, Ethan saw who Daniel truly was, not just Sarah's husband, but a hero. It was Daniel's strength and courage that ensured Sarah was safely wheeled out to safety amidst the chaos. Watching him risk his life again and again, Ethan realized the truth that left him frozen. He had nearly destroyed the world of a man who gave his everything to protect the worlds of others. Daniel didn't live for himself, he lived for love, for family, for humanity. And Ethan, with all his arrogance and wealth, had lived only for himself. When the fire was contained and calm returned, Ethan finally walked up to Daniel, tears in his eyes. For the first time in his life, he dropped the mask of arrogance. "I don't deserve your forgiveness," he whispered, his voice shaking. "But seeing you, seeing the way you love, the way you live, I realize I've wasted my life. I don't know how to make this right, but I want to try." Daniel, exhausted but calm, looked at him with weary eyes. He didn't answer with anger or hatred. He simply said, "If you want to make it right, then start by living differently. Don't waste another day." Those words became a seed in Ethan's soul. From that moment, he began changing. He sold his flashy cars, distanced himself from the empty parties, and started volunteering at the fire department, helping families rebuild after tragedies. He visited Sarah and Daniel often, always quiet, always humble, learning from the love they shared. Slowly, the arrogant millionaire's son became a man who understood the value of life, of love, of sacrifice. Months later, Sarah gave birth to a healthy baby girl, and when Ethan held the child for just a brief moment, he felt tears stream down his face. That innocent life reminded him that even the most broken past could lead to a new beginning. And though he could never undo what he had done, he could honor it by living with purpose. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support means the world and helps spread more stories of hope, love, and redemption. Special request, before you leave, please comment below, do you believe people like Ethan can truly change when life finally teaches them the value of love?